So, if you're a self published author, odds are at some point in your career you've thought to yourself, but what if I could design my book cover myself? Because we all know how expensive book cover design is. I'm a book cover designer. People hire me all the time to design book covers. I understand that my services are not cheap, and neither is any services of any experienced book cover designer. So I fully understand wanting to save money on the publishing process and doing it yourself. Which is why I've created a book cover design course. In the course, I teach you how to design a book cover from start to finish, starting with stock photos, ending with a beautiful book cover for ebook and paperback. And that book cover design course releases today. So today I'm going to be telling you guys about the course, but also along with that, I'm going to be telling you guys about some of the simple steps I go through when I'm designing my book covers. Hello everyone, my name is Mandy Lynn. I'm an author, book cover designer, and the creator of the Book Launch Planner series. And if you want weekly videos of the business of being an author, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you never miss a new upload. So, like I said, my book cover design course releases today, or should I say book cover design courses. So before we jump into the bulk of this video where I go through the cover design process, I want to tell you guys about the course because the course is actually 3 separate courses. I wanted to be able to break it down so those who have a little bit of experience can skip to the content that they actually need, and those who have no experience can start from the beginning. So like I said, this course is actually 3 separate courses as well as a course bundle. Course number 1 is Photoshop Basics for Authors. This is a beginner level course. This is truly just a tutorial on how to use Photoshop, is the basics of Photoshop, and is meant to be your foundation for your skills in Photoshop to be able to learn and do the things that we do later on in the other courses that are slightly more advanced. Course number 2 is Typography and Book Cover Design. I would call this an intermediate level course. This is all about adding text to your book cover. This is great for authors who hire an illustrator to illustrate the art for their book cover, but still need the typography added in. So this is typography for the front of the book as well as the entire wrap, whether that be paperback or hardcover. Course number 3 is Designing Book Covers in Photoshop. This is an advanced level course. This is where I do and teach the photo manipulation that you need to know in order to design your own book covers using stock photography. So basically, we take ugly stock photos and transform them into beautiful book covers. This course is the bread and the butter of all the courses. This is the course where I actually have a ton of step-by-step tutorials where I show you the entire cover design process from start to finish and talk you through the entire thing. And I also work across multiple genres from fantasy to dystopian, sci-fi, thriller, and contemporary. Now I do want to note that in this course I do a little bit of typography, but I don't dive deep into all the typography that I go into the second course. So really course number 2 and course number 3, typography and the book cover design course, are meant to be taken together, but I separated them for those authors who end up just hiring illustrators to design the art for their book cover and only need the typography added in later. That's why it's broken up that way. I also do believe that typography can be so complex that it deserves its own time in the sun. Throughout all 3 courses, I end up designing 8 different book covers step by step, and I also intend to add more step-by-step tutorials down the line as the course goes on. And that also means if you purchase the course now that you actually have lifetime access to the course. So any additional lessons that I add in or any updates that I add to the course, you will get for free because you have lifetime access to it. Now you can either purchase the courses individually to pick out what fits your needs, or you can purchase them as my book cover design course bundle that includes all 3 courses, the Photoshop, typography, and book cover design course. And when you get it as a bundle, you save $50, which basically ends up being that you get the Photoshop course for free. I will link all the courses down below as well as the course bundle so you guys can check it out click around and really get a feel for what the curriculum is and if it will teach you what you guys need to know about book cover design. Anyways, I am so excited that this course is releasing. I've literally been working on it all year, so I hope you guys love it. I'm really happy with the results, and I think it'll be extremely beneficial to many authors who really want to be able to do their own book covers. So with that said, let's talk about the book cover design process and talk about my 5 steps to designing your own book cover. Step number 1 is to have a concept. While I think it's a good idea to step into your book cover design with a concept, it's definitely possible to just kind of wing it sometimes when it comes to book cover design. I am definitely guilty of, just scrolling through stock photos on stock photo websites and seeing what photos give me inspiration and let that kind of lead the way for the concept. But many, many times, especially when you are the author yourself, you probably have a concept in mind. So the first thing you want to do is be mindful of your concept. Maybe you want to sketch it out on a piece of paper. I mostly just kind of keep it in my head and envision something into my head. And then from there, I move on to step number 2, which is stock photos. So stock photos are just photos that you can purchase from any stock photo website. And then the goal is to manipulate the stock photos to make them from boring to something extremely beautiful for your book cover. Now, the number of stock photos varies. I've definitely had book covers where I only used 1 stock photo, or I've had book covers where I've used, 10 stock photos. It really just varies and depends on what your vision is for your book cover design, depends on how many stock photos you end up using. I know a lot of authors don't like when I say the word stock photo. Authors hear the word stock photo and think that their book cover is going to be ugly, or they think that because it's a stock photo that maybe their book cover will look similar to another book cover. But my goal is when I take stock photos is to be able to manipulate them enough to make them maybe not quite as distinguishable as the original stock photo or completely undistinguishable. What we are doing here is we are making art. So we're taking a simple stock photo and we're really kind of processing it to make it into something different. Which brings us to step number 3, which is creating our concept in Photoshop. So you have your concept, you have your stock photos. Now it's time to open them up into Photoshop, lay them out appropriately. I kind of like to start with the background and then add in the foreground, which if it's a character on the cover, I add in the character. And I don't worry about the coloring too much. I don't worry if things look like they match or if they're all in the same scene. I'm just trying to get a general feel for the design and for the layout. And then once I accomplish that, I move on to step number 4, which is color scheme. So in my book cover design course, I have an entire module that's just about the concepts of design and what makes designs work and not work. And color scheme is one of them. So you want to figure out what color scheme you want to use for your book. A lot of the times you're going to want to do some genre research as well, because a lot of the times certain genres have certain color schemes and you want to be able to fit into that color scheme. If everyone has blue covers and then you decide to do a pink book cover, you're gonna not fit in like a really bad, awkward way. But this is the step where we start messing with the coloring of our book cover to make everything blend together, to make it all look like it's one image, and to also give it that extra pop that we're looking for when it comes to colorful book covers. Especially certain genres tend to be more colorful than ever, which is why we have a lot of fun with hue and saturation when it comes to book cover design as well. Lastly, comes down to step number 5, which is adding the pizzazz. Because once you get the layout of your cover and then once you mess with the coloring of your cover, it may look put together, but it usually looks like it's missing something. And this is where, the professional touch comes in. This is where you use things like overlays and Photoshop brushes and different effects that we'll learn and talk about in the book cover design course to really give that extra spark to our cover and to make it eye-catching, professional, and not boring and flat. Adding the pizzazz to a book cover can be a lot of different things, especially depending on the genre. If it's a fantasy book cover, maybe we're adding in some magical effects. If it's sci-fi, maybe we're just adding in stars or doing a little extra to the elements to make them pop on the cover. If it's a romance book cover, maybe we're just really intensifying the color scheme and really just making the text look that much more cutesy and make it pop and blend in, but also stand out from other covers in its genre. If you ask me, adding the pizzazz and making things pop is the most fun part of cover design. But it's also the part that I think most amateur cover designers forget about, because this is the thing that, in my opinion, sets you apart as a cover designer and makes you look professional. Because adding the pizzazz is stuff that you can only do in programs like Photoshop. It's not necessarily something you can always do in Canva and other book cover design software that you may have come across. And if you ask me, it really is what puts you above the rest. And then eventually at some point you're gonna look at your cover and you're gonna be like, I'm done. I think I'm finished. I'm ready to move on to exporting. So in the course, we also talk about how to export for print. We talk about how to set up your paperback wrap, how to design your paperback wrap, along with your hardcover jacket, your hardcover case laminate. We cover all of that in the course. It's really meant to be a full, comprehensive look at book cover design. So those are my 5 steps to designing a book cover. And of course, if you want to learn more, make sure to check out my book cover design courses and the cover design course bundle. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you want to see other videos on book cover design on my YouTube channel, let me know in the comments below by just requesting what type of videos you want to see. Otherwise, that is it for this video, and I'll see you all next week.